This is LSAT Prep Test 152, Section 3, Passage 1, about the Indus Valley Civilization. It is a combination about both science and history, fairly low difficulty. The structure is straightforward and the author's opinion is pretty clear. But students lose points here because they stop paying attention to how confident the author sounds at different moments, and that's what's going to cost you. Now, this passage is making a case that the Indus Valley Civilization was more advanced than scholars gave it credit for. And the old explanation for its collapse is wrong. The author has a replacement theory, but holds it fairly loosely. And that gap between Wheeler is wrong and here's probably what happened is where the hardest questions are. Now, paragraph 4 is the most important paragraph. That's where the old theory gets destroyed and the new one gets proposed. And we're going to get there, but the earlier paragraphs set traps also. Now, paragraph 1 does two things. The first half is background. Indus Valley, Egypt, Sumer, the three big Bronze Age civilizations. The Indus Valley was the biggest geographically, spread across modern-day Pakistan, Afghanistan, and northwestern India. That's fine, you can move through that quickly. But then comes a but. Scholars used to dismiss this civilization because there were no palaces or citadels. Nothing impressive on the surface. Now, recent excavations have flipped that. Now we know the civilization had characteristics without parallel in history. And that phrase matters. The author isn't saying pretty cool, the author is saying unlike anything else. And if you blow past that, you're going to underestimate how strongly the author feels about this civilization's significance. Now, paragraph 2 is a big stack of evidence. Brig cities on flood-proof terraces, straight grid streets, the first urban sewer systems ever built. No signs of dominant rulers, no class divisions in the housing, no weapons. The author here is painting a picture of a civilization that was advanced, democratic, and peaceful. You don't need to memorize every detail here, just know what they're proving. And notice what is missing from this list. No kings, no armies. That is unusual for an ancient civilization, and the author wants you to feel how unusual it is. Now read this at a steady clip, don't linger on this. Then paragraph 3 shifts to agriculture and trade. The first civilization to cultivate rice and cotton, organized food distribution, major traders with roots across the Arabian Sea and connections to Mesopotamia. Same job here as paragraph 2. More evidence that this civilization deserves respect. You want to skim it. If a question sends you back here, you'll find the detail, but on the first read, you've just got to know it's more support. Now, slow way down for paragraph 4 because that's where the passage earns the questions. The author opens with a signal you can't miss. The causes of the decline are not certain. There is argument among scholars, and so we're entering a debate. Then you meet Mortimer Wheeler, a British archaeologist in the 1920s. His theory is that Indo-Aryan invaders rolled in and massacred everybody. And then the author tells you this theory is still in history books today, and that detail matters. It's telling you the old view has staying power and people still believe it. But then the author dismantles it. There are no written records of any invasion. There is no evidence of battles inside the cities, and the real kill shot is that new excavations show the Indo-Aryans weren't even in the region when the supposed massacre happened. And that's not saying, well, maybe Wheeler overstated things. That's saying Wheeler's theory has zero support. That is aggressive. And then the author pivots to an alternative explanation of environmental collapse. The empire might have broken apart, droughts may have killed the farmland, an earthquake may have rerouted the rivers. But listen to the language here. They say may have, most likely, would probably. Every sentence in the alternative theory is hedged. The author is guessing, not arguing forcefully. So here's the key move. The author's confidence level changes completely between tearing down Wheeler and building up the environmental theory. Wheeler gets demolished with hard evidence, and the replacement theory gets offered with soft language. If you treat them the same way, you're going to get the attitude questions wrong. Now, the main trap here is picking an answer that's too strong about the environmental explanation. Students remember drought and earthquakes, and those feel concrete, so they pick answers that make it sound like the author proved what caused the decline, but the author didn't. The author only proved what didn't cause it, and that's a big difference, and the questions are going to exploit that. Now, before you get to the questions, you want to check yourself on three things. First, what is the author's attitude toward the old scholarly view that the Indus Valley was boring? Second, why does the author spend so much time listing achievements in paragraphs 2 and 3 before getting to the decline? And third, can you tell the difference between how the author talks about Wheeler's theory versus the environmental explanation? If you've got those three, you're going to be good.